If you've been paying attention to what happened to the stock market this past week, we can all agree that it felt like we were riding a roller coaster. One day was up, one day was ridiculously down, and up and down and up and down. And all of this happened because of the back and forth with the tariffs. Mexico, China, Canada, the EU, and the drama just keeps going, right? And while I understand that the stock market, it's purely emotional, it is hard not to worry about that impact on our businesses. I know that a lot of people that tune in into Nova Rise Invest are business owners. And when you're a business owner, the most important thing is revenue. Do I keep receiving revenue? Because with revenue, I can buy more inventory, I can pay my labor, I can pay the rent for my business. And without it, my business will go bankrupt. Why am I sharing this with you? Well, because as a business, with everything that's going on, sometimes you wonder what should you do in terms of inventory if you have a business that relies heavily on inventory. Should I buy the inventory right now before prices go up if they do? Or should I just wait a little bit and see what happens and maybe things are going to be cheaper? But what good does it do to you if the inventory is cheaper and you don't have any funds readily available? Because the main thing as a business is that you don't want to stop your business from moving forward, right? You want to have the service readily available. You want to have the inventory readily available. And for that, the best way to prepare is by having liquid capital in hand. If you have the savings, that's great. But what if the savings are not enough? And like I said, the best time to seek for money is when you don't need it. So apply for the loan when you don't need it and have that money there, as opposed to having to run around at the very last minute looking for liquid capital. At least that's my mojo, and I always want to be ready before it's too late. And in conversations with recent lenders, part of our power teams, we learned that there are currently a lot of business requesting access to capital in preparation of what could happen. It's true that the back and forth with the tariffs are meant to create better terms for negotiation and hopefully a better economy. But in the meantime, as business owners, we need to get ready and prepare for the worst in the event that the revenue goes down. So there's a saying that goes, it is better to have the money and not need it than seek for it when you actually need it. So we decided to pay attention to what was going on, to the discussions that we've had with our lenders, and we decided to go ahead and apply for a business loan ourselves. Now, just to share you a little bit about the experience in the event that you happen to be in the same boat, the application process was fairly simple. It took us about 48 hours to receive an answer. And what the lender requested from us was 12 months of business bank statements. Now, this is very different than when you're applying for a mortgage, because a mortgage, it's secured by the mortgage, right? So you receive money, and in exchange, the lender will place a lien on your property. And for that reason, it is considered more secure. So that's why with mortgages, the lender will require somewhere between 3 to 6 months worth of bank statements. But when it comes to businesses, there's nothing backing that debt out, meaning that they are lending you money in an insecure way. They're not backing that money with your business or with any assets that you have in the business. So for that reason, they need to have a full 12-month look back to see how your business is performing. They want to see how much money you're generating on a monthly basis. How often do you receive deposits? How often do you make payments, whether it's for inventory or for labor? So they want to get a feel of how stable your business is. In order to see that, they request 12 months in total just to get a feel of where you at. In addition to that, we had to fill out an application, which is pretty standard for all loans. So the application asks for the business information, and then it asks for my personal information, because as the owner of the business, they need to associate a face to an actual business, because the business in itself is not going to make the payments or have a conversation with them, right? Like you as the point of contact is the person that will be dealing with the lender directly. So in the end, we got approved for $99,100. That is capital that we currently don't need, but it is very nice to have that cushion in the event that something were to happen with, let's say, our rental portfolio. Let's say somebody loses a job and they can afford to pay rent, or let's say there's a renovation that's happening that needs to be taken care of, or any other business necessity that we have. It's always good to have that money on the side. If you don't need it, great. That money will be sitting there ready for you. But if you do need it, voila, that's great. You have that tool readily available for use. Now, if taking a business loan is not your thing, another option you can consider is to buy precious metals. Precious metals historically tend to have an inverse relationship with the stock market. That means if the stock market is doing great, gold is just, hanging in there boringly, right? But if the stock market is doing its thing with the ups and downs, that means that there is a lot of uncertainty. And when people feel uncertain about the economy, they tend to go to precious metals. So you will typically see an increase in pricing when it comes to precious metals. And so that's a great way to protect your money against inflation. So you buy precious metals, you keep it on the side, you put it in a safe, you take it to those safety deposits in a bank, wherever place you want to put your precious metals. And when I talk about precious metals, I typically refer to investment grade gold. So you can buy gold bars or you can buy investment grade gold coins. You set that on the side and you can rest assured that whenever you need that additional liquidity, you can always take that precious metals and liquidate that in exchange of cash. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that precious metals are not necessarily an investment. They're more of an insurance. That means that if for whatever reason your money loses its value due to inflation or due to the devaluation of the dollar, that value will be preserved through that gold coin. And you can exchange that for cash in the future and gain access to the liquidity adjusted for inflation, at least in most of the cases. Now, if you happen to be a business owner and you might want to check out the options or get in touch with the same lender that we work with, here is a link that you see on the screen. And I'm also going to leave that down in the description below. And you can get in touch with them to weigh your options. And since we're talking about how to protect your business and eventually that leads to protecting your net worth, here's a video that you can watch that will help you grow financially. I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.